Hey, I'm LeeSun. Welcome to Self-Love Roadmap. This is something I'm in the midst of setting up right this minute. A couple of months ago, I set up this YouTube channel because I was thinking that I would love to write a series of little self-help books. Because all my life, I've been into personal development. I've been seeking answers, seeking healing, seeking personal transformation, self-actualization. All my life, I've been buying programs and books and materials and courses. And all my life, I've not been able to access any of those things. I have so many books that I know they are really, really good books and have the potential to completely change my understanding of the world and myself, completely change how I live. And I start reading these books, and it's laborious. I kind of, because my mind wanders every 2 seconds. I'm trying to read. And so I might work through, line by line by line by line paragraph, and then keep going. And then I realize that I don't know what I've just read, and go back, do it again. And this laborious process takes so long. And then I don't make time to try this every day because just the thought of it can feel like too much. And because everything else in my life feels like that is what urgently needs dealing with. And so I've got loads of these books that are incredible books that I've read the first 2-3 chapters of with great effort. Can't get any further. So because of this, I wanted to write this little series of books for people like me, people who want help and want to access help, but they can't. So that's what Self-Love Roadmap is about. Over the years, despite my inability to access these books, these programs, I've still learned a lot. Actually, one thing I found really helpful is learning from people teaching on YouTube like this. And somehow different. Listening to someone talking, it's a bit more like a conversation. And what I find is that clarity comes in a flash when new ideas come, or somebody says something in a particular way, or they share their truth and their story. And in that, suddenly you see something a little bit differently. I kind of think of the truth as being something that is hidden within all of our hearts. It's in my heart. It's in yours. It's in every person's heart. We're born with the truth. That's where it lives. The problem is that a lot of people think that truth is in the mind, that it's in thoughts, in thinking, which is why when people disagree with each other, often they will argue. They will present all their arguments, all their thoughts. And that rarely changes either person. Sometimes people do change, but that's not the common thing. That's the exception, not the rule. And when they change, it's not because they were argued into something. It's because in a flash, their heart connects with something, and reveals to them their own truth. It's not because somebody else has persuaded them to their way of thinking. Although there are some people who seem to be very, very good at persuading loads of other people to their way of thinking, whether that way is right or not. But that's not about thoughts. It's not about arguments having won people over. If you look at those sorts of really charismatic leaders, there's something else going on there where they may be exploiting some sort of vulnerability in the other person's heart, in their emotional state, in their psychology. It's never about things making sense, about the arguments making sense, which is why huge numbers of people can be misled into adamantly believing that the best thing to do is to be violent to a certain group of people, whether for race, religion, gender, sexuality, sexual orientation, whatever, for whatever reason. These sorts of ways of thinking can be adopted by large numbers of people. It's never about the thinking. If you want the truth, if you want clarity, don't go to your thoughts. Spend some time listening to your heart. And so, with Self-Love Roadmap, my aim is always this. My aim is not to give you the truth and give you ideas and persuade you to anything. I have no desire and no need to try to persuade you to do anything. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you access the incredible power that is within your heart, that a lot of the time you're looking for in the wrong places. You're looking for in your thinking. And so, back to truth. And my understanding of truth is that truth is in our hearts. And when I say it's hidden, I kind of think of it as being like if your heart is like a big thing of water, a massive bowl with water in it. And then as you go through life and you have experiences, and through these experiences you generate thoughts, you decide, well, most of the time you just believe whatever thoughts are being generated, whether they're harmful or not, or whether they're good for you or not. You just believe your thoughts being generated from these experiences. As you believe your thoughts, those beliefs all go into this huge jug of water. And over your lifetime, all the stuff that's gone in, it's kind of like, pebbles, gravel, soot, dirt, sand, debris. Some things are kind of floating. Most things just settle. And so a lot of the time you just have what looks like water and a thick layer of stuff at the bottom. And truth is underneath that. Truth is like this sort of magical layer that's underneath. It's like it covers the whole bottom of the bowl. It naturally kind of settles there. It kind of always sinks, and it's the heaviest thing, and it's the finest thing, and it sinks to the very bottom of your heart. It gets covered over by all your beliefs, all your thoughts. When you encounter somebody else's thoughts and beliefs, some of them might be the same as yours, and some of them might be different. And when you are up against other experiences of truth, it's kind of like you're taking a big stick and like stirring up all this water, all the stuff gets stirred up. It's like whirling around. But as all the dirt gets stirred up, the dirt and the gravel, the rocks, the debris, it's all like, turning into a murky sort of murkiness. A couple of things happen. First of all, you see your own murkiness. You see all the stuff that's gone in there over time. That's your opportunity to see what you're actually carrying, whether that's a really painful belief about yourself or a painful belief about others, whether that's a fear of something. That stuff's getting stirred up. But the other great thing is that in those moments of stirring things up, you also get that amazing, magical truth also being stirred up. And you get this opportunity when things are stirred up to see what is there. That is the amazing opportunity. And that's what I call heart knowledge, because it's easy to know something intellectually with your head. It's easy to recognize something that is intellectually true. So you recognize, for example, smoking can kill you. It's written on, I think it's written on all packs of cigarettes. In the UK, I live in the UK. I'm pretty sure it's written on cigarettes here. I don't smoke, but I think I've seen it, like a huge label across any cigarettes, tobacco products. I think maybe in North America, it's also the same. That's where I grew up. I grew up in Canada. Intellectually, most people now recognize that smoking can kill you. Of course, that was not what people intellectually knew originally when cigarettes were being sold. All that stuff about, doctors recommended it to aid your health, to enhance your health. They'd be like, well, why not take up smoking? But of course, we know now that isn't the case. That's an intellectual truth. For some of us, that's also a heart truth. It's something we know with our hearts as well. So some of us who don't smoke, we kind of recognize that as like a heart truth. Some people just don't smoke because they're not bothered about it. They intellectually know it's not good for you, but there's nothing emotionally that pulls them towards smoking. So it doesn't have to be more than a head truth. It doesn't need to be a heart truth in order for them to take action on that. But for people who are addicted to smoking, who are trying to quit, who would love to quit because it would make certain things so much easier and better. People who are addicted to smoking, who suddenly are pregnant or have a baby, have young children, and suddenly they feel in a different way that they can't be smoking around their children. They can't be exposing their kids to that. For some people at that moment, that head truth about smoking is bad for me, smoking can kill me, sometimes that can transform into the heart truth in that moment, and they can just quit. But other people, it's still, that isn't enough to bring it into the heart. And so they still struggle. Because until a truth is realized in your heart, unless you believe it and know it in your heart, you don't really know it. It's hard to act on it. The thing is, if you've got a truth like that just remains head truth, and you're unable to act on that head truth, it's not a heart truth. You're unable to act on it. There's going to be a reason why you cannot act on it, and the reason is because you have emotional needs. You have a different kind of heart truth that seems to be incompatible with bringing that head truth into your heart. And so suppose you feel smoking does something for you that nothing else can do. And that's an emotional truth. That's like a heart truth. It's a belief. If you have that belief, then even though you know smoking's bad for you, the emotional truth is going to win out. And so there are a couple ways to transform this, but I can talk about that in a different video. It's actually quite straightforward to change a habit like that, to want to change a habit like that. Or suppose you, even though you know it will be good, and you kind of think, oh yeah, it would be good to do that, but there's still like a big part of your heart, there's a big part of your emotion that just is hanging on to something that is incompatible with actually going over to this sort of, let's not do that anymore. I'll talk about that in a different video. But for now, just having a look at truth, at the nature of clarity, at where you get it from. If you want clarity, you're not going to get it from your mind. If you want clarity, you've got to go and do different things. Because if you haven't got clarity right now about something, what that means is that all your experience up to now, all your thinking up to now, everything about your state and where you're at right now has not given you that clarity. So in order to get clarity, you're going to have to do something a little bit different. You're going to have to get some different inputs. You're going to have to get some different thoughts. And the way you do that is by finding other people's thoughts that are good at stirring up all that stuff in your heart so that you can kind of see what's there, and then you can have these realizations. That's one really good way. or you go for a walk in nature. You do whatever you need to do that's going to help you connect with your heart, not with your mind. And so your thoughts can be generating. It can be crazy turbulent. You might have thoughts going on like crazy because you've got some situation happening or some sort of thing that you want clarity on. Your thoughts are going to go crazy about that. The trick is not to get drawn into the thoughts that are on the surface. You got to go deeper. You got to connect. You've got to bring your attention away from those thoughts. Instead of thinking obsessively, instead of being drawn into your thoughts, you bring your attention into your body and you keep asking questions to your heart, not your head. And the way you do this is by asking the question and then listen. You don't ask the question and then think. What you do is you ask the question and see what arises. So you might have some thoughts arising and just, acknowledge those thoughts and let them go. You might have memories arising. You might have an image arise. You might have just a concept or an idea of something arise. You might think of a song. You might notice something in your environment. You might notice something that you see, or you might notice a smell. You might notice a sensation. And that's how you listen. You just ask yourself the right questions and then you listen. And that's how you get clarity. And just, give your heart a stir. Keep, you might already know what things help you do that, what things help you connect with your heart, what things help you actually notice what your heart wants and what your heart is saying. You might already know how to do that. And if you don't, if this is a brand new concept to you, then just have a little explore, just experiment. So try doing different things. See what things help you enter into that state of connecting with your heart and your body and listening to what's there. So that's where that's where clarity comes from. And in Self-Love Roadmap, that's my aim. My aim is not to tell you what is right and what is wrong. My aim is to share with you my understanding of truth, of love, of clarity. My aim is also to help you enter into a process, an internal process, where instead of being driven and distressed by your thoughts, instead of constantly seeking for answers, instead to just listen and learn and understand. And I don't mean listen and learn and understand. I don't mean listen to me. Like I'm just I'm just here to stir up the waters a little bit, the waters of your heart. I'm just here to do that. My words are like that stick, just giving everything a stir. And so when I do that, I'm wanting to help you to see what's in your heart. I'm not trying to help you see. I'm not trying to help you see my ideas. I'm not trying to help you persuade you to my ideas. I'm here to just stir up your heart so that you can start listening to it, so that you can develop this practice of listening to your heart, because it is so rare. In my experience, as I meet people, talk to people, see what people are saying, see what people are doing, as I experience humanity in the ways that I experience it, the thing that I see most often is people trying to solve problems of the heart with their heads. Whenever I see somebody in distress, whenever I see someone who is super stressed out, whenever I see someone who is even doing really well in certain ways, they have everything. They have everything that they thought they wanted. They have everything that anyone could want, or so it seems. People who have got a great career, income, family, home, lifestyle, all those things. I encounter people like that who still are not at peace, who still are not fully in their joy the way they would want to be, and they don't know what's wrong. And that feeling they have, that they're missing something, missing a part of the truth, they just try to solve it by doing more of what they've been doing, and they try to solve it by thinking, and then they think about it and they're like, well, I can't see any reason why this is the case. All I know is that I can't honestly say that I am really happy the way that I want to be. I feel like I should be. Or they say, I am just really stressed out. I'm really stressed out. I'm really overwhelmed. I'm really anxious. I have these worries. The thing is, they have this mental state because they're going into their thoughts and not into their heart. But they're trying to fix it by going into their thoughts more. You can't fix an issue by doing more of the same thing that actually caused that issue. And so it's like, suppose something's on fire and you don't like that fire, you want to put out the fire. It's like pouring gasoline on the fire, or it's like, giving the fire more oxygen, just feeding it. Like thoughts are a fuel source for anxiety, worry, even emotions, feelings of anger, insecurity, pain, emotional pain. Your thoughts are the fuel for all those things. This morning, it's hard. Like you've got to get good at recognizing when you're angry or grumpy or in a bad mood. Especially me. Like, I don't know. I guess everyone's different, but yeah, definitely. Even throughout different times of the month with my sort of hormonal cycle, and I definitely have days where I wake up and I am just in a bad mood. Or I might have that in the middle of the afternoon, or, the whole hangry thing. Before I got good at sort of feeding myself a bit more regularly, I used to get that a lot, just not realize I hadn't eaten. And then I would figure it out when, in the middle of the afternoon, I would just be encountering so many annoying people. That was the amazing thing. Like, even people who I really liked, they would text me and I would look at the message coming in and I'm like, God, like how can they be so annoying? Why are they being so annoying today? Why are they asking me these annoying things or sending me these annoying messages? It was amazing. It was amazing. On some days, when I don't eat till the afternoon, suddenly those are the times when people choose to be really annoying, say and do really annoying things. Isn't that amazing? Like, what are the chances? Of course, I'm joking. So what I'm saying is that it's not that people are being annoying. It's that I'm getting annoyed because I'm in a bad mood. The thing is, when you feel, when your emotional state changes to be unhappy, annoyed, irritated, angry, whatever, when your emotional state is more stressed out, in those moments, your thoughts are going to add fuel to the fire. Because your brain is going to look for reasons why you feel that way. And it's not going to look inside yourself. It's always going to look at other people and circumstances and things. And so this morning I went downstairs and my children, I've got 2 boys who are currently 14 and 5. My children were downstairs, kind of getting ready for school. My older son slept in this morning. And so I was just like, wow, that's so annoying that he can't get himself up in time, that he has probably stayed up too late and he's not been able to wake up in time, and now he's late for school, and now he's here in the space and he's getting in the way. Like, I can't, he's distracting me from trying to get my younger son ready. And then when I thought that thought, I started immediately seeing reasons why that was so annoying and why he was in my way. And then as I was thinking of that, I thought of the fact that my son has lost his house key, and he lost it sometime yesterday after going out of the house and locking the door. And I thought, that's annoying. That's really annoying. And then I looked around and I saw other things that were really annoying about him. And then the more I thought about these things, the more annoyed I got, adding fuel to the fire, until I did it so effectively that I started thinking, this is so hard, having a teenage son doing all these annoying things that I don't like. And I started thinking this stuff. And then I had this other thought. I thought, it's strange, isn't it? If he weren't here, like if he were living, I don't mean if he were like not existing, I meant like if he were living with his other parent and not with me. If he were living with his other parent, I would be so serene and peaceful and happy and calm and not angry, not annoyed, not anything. I had that thought, which was kind of borderline, like, I wish he was not here. I wish he was not living with me right now. Because if he wasn't living with me, then I wouldn't be experiencing this really heightened level of annoyance. Because the more I thought about how annoying he was, the more annoyed I got, until eventually, literally in the space of about 5-10 minutes, I had worked up my internal state to be so annoyed that I was just like, so annoying. I just wish he didn't live here. Because then I wouldn't be so annoyed. My life would be so great. And the moment I had that thought, and luckily, and this is due to me working on this for like 10 years, at that moment, I had that thought, and something told me, something in my heart told me, have a look at that thought. Don't believe that thought, because that thought is not true. I just felt this little like knock, 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 little wake-up call. And so from that like super heightened state of annoyance, my thoughts were still generating at that level. And so I was getting this sort of like knock, 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 that thought's not true, don't believe it. And then my brain was still trying to persuade me. It was still just like, no, it is really annoying. He is the cause of this annoyance. But in that moment where I was like, is this true? My heart offered me a different thought, a different idea. And the idea was this. The idea was your emotions, anger, annoyance, grumpiness, irritation, frustration, fed upness. Those emotions, those are all the emotions from my morning this morning. My heart offered me this thought that those emotions are your emotions. You know that. Those emotions can't be coming from somewhere else. And in that moment, I had that picture of like the heart vessel full of water, all the crap being stirred up. And my heart was showing me, as I saw that image of all the dirt and debris being like shifted up, it was saying, look, if that stuff wasn't there to stir up, then these events would not be stirring them up. He could not be if your son was not living here with you, maybe you're right. Maybe nothing would be stirring up that stuff. But that wouldn't mean that it's not there. The anger, the pain, the annoyance, the frustration, all of that is in there in my heart. It just so happens that I woke up with it already a bit stirred up. And then my thoughts, kind of looking around and looking at what else there was to be annoyed about, then just like stirred it up like massively turbulently. But of course, the things that my thoughts were going to were naturally things to blame for what was actually inside me. It was a hard truth because in the moment, even though my heart was showing me what the truth was, I still felt turbulent. I felt angry. I felt annoyed. And the thoughts I was thinking were stirring up and stirring that stuff up into like a frenzy, like a little tornado of anger and annoyance. It's really important. That's why it's really important to go with your heart and not your head. That's why it's really important to start recognizing that your thoughts are not bringing you clarity. Your heart brings you clarity. People argue about what's true all the time. If you know something to be true, like if you really know it, like not like head knowledge know it, but if you really know it in your heart, you don't have to argue about it because you know it. Like it's kind of like why would you argue about it? You know that getting hit by a car full speed could kill you, could hurt you. You're not going to go out arguing about it. You know it head knowledge, but you also know it heart knowledge. You act on it. The things that you know, like heart knowledge, you can tell when somebody's got something that they know in terms of like heart knowledge. You can tell when it's heart knowledge, not just head knowledge, because they act on it. Things that you know in your heart, you act on it. Like when people say, yes, smoking will kill me, I know, but I can't stop. That's not heart knowledge for them, it's only head knowledge. Because their actions aren't consistent with that knowledge. If your actions aren't consistent with the knowledge, then it's not heart knowledge. And if it's not heart knowledge, it's because there's stuff in your heart that's not been sifted through. There's some stuff that needs to come out to make room for that thing that wants to get into your heart, that truth. That's only head knowledge and not heart knowledge, And so if you want to let that get into your heart, well, there are just, there are so many ways to do this, but, one straightforward way is to actually just ask yourself, what is it that I don't want to let go of, that's occupying space in my heart? And because it occupies space in my heart, there's no space for this other thing that I know is true. I kind of mentioned this in sometimes you can reach a compromise. I mentioned this in my video yesterday about how I have such a sweet tooth. I have such a sweet tooth. A part of me thinks, this is head knowledge, a part of me thinks if I were to cut out refined processed sugars pretty much completely from what I eat, that would be really good for me. That would be healthy. It would be good for my health. It would be good for my skin. It would be good for my brain. No cakes, no cookies, no chocolates, no desserts. I could just cut them out entirely. I know that would be great. But I don't want to. I don't want to. On some level, knowing that that's not great for me, sugary things, on some level, I do know that in my heart as well as my head. But it's kind of like the level to which I acknowledge it. I just think, well, do you know what? A little bit doesn't hurt. I can't bring myself to just cut it out completely. I'm okay with that, actually. I'm not, if I wanted to, if I decided, actually, there's some really important reason why I've got to make this important to me to give up sugar entirely. If I found out that this was actually going to take 10 years off my life or prematurely kill me, for sure, I would be motivated. I would be motivated to bring that truth entirely into my heart, to make it a complete heart truth. And I know I could do it, but I don't have that motivation right now. I don't see the need for it, and I get value out of the amount of dessert that I do have, which I'm really happy about. I feel like I don't have cravings for it generally. It's not like I'm missing it all the time, and then every once in a while I have a dessert and it's fantastic. And so I've reached this sort of compromise with, like, even though it's bad for me, in this ratio of like bad for me foods with good for me foods, it's actually absolutely fine. And so, yeah. So I've reached a bit of a compromise with that particular truth. Anyway, I hope this has served you. I hope you've gotten something out of this. I know that I talk a lot. I know that I can seem very slow to get to a point. But truth is not about finding as many true ideas as possible, because we've got tons of true ideas. That's not the problem. I look at these sorts of really popular videos, or the ones with sort of like clickbait, I suppose, like the 3 things you didn't know that are the keys to self-confidence. I don't know. And so you watch the video going like, what are the 3 things? What are the 3 things? You just want those answers. But that's not how truth works. I could give you like 500 truths like that, and it's going to make no difference to you. The only time it makes a difference is when it goes from head knowledge to heart knowledge. It's when you take it into your heart. And that process of stirring things up in your heart, it's not going to come from me bombarding you with thoughts. My purpose in creating a video talking for like an hour is not to bombard you with so many thoughts that you just give in and just like, oh yeah, oh yeah, that's what I need to do with my life. That's how I need to change. That's not how it works. I share like this Because in the time that we spend together here like this, with me sharing my truth with you, and also sharing my intentions and my desire to help you and support you, and also my love, genuinely, because I actually care. I can say that without ever having met you, because I know I do. But it's in this time where I'm sharing this, it's not like I'm giving you secrets. Maybe some of it is kind of new to you, these ideas, like a new way of looking at things or doing things. But that's not the main thing that's going on here. And if you have listened all the way to the end of this, I trust you've gotten something out of it. I trust that it's stirred up your heart a bit. And you might have some sort of realization that comes from this. But the other thing that happens is this sort of delayed process of realizations. So we stir things up. And as we spend this time together, you start to get connected with the truth that life is not about rushing to achieve. It's not about rushing to get your outcomes. It's about, in the midst of your responsibilities and the things you have to do to just function in life, in the midst of all that, staying connected to your heart. It's about knowing that in the moment, if you're getting triggered by something, so you're getting angry or annoyed, it's about in that moment understanding that those feelings you have, they're not coming from something outside. It's true that there might be external things that are not good or right, or that you don't agree with. It's true that there might be some things going on that aren't great, but that's not the cause of your anger. It's only the stick that stirs up what's already in your heart. And that's an opportunity for you to look underneath the emotion to see what's stirring it up. Because with stuff like anger, irritation, frustration, whatever, underneath that, there's pain. And where there's pain, compassion is needed. So thank you for spending this time with me. I look forward to spending more time with you in this way, maybe tomorrow. Well, this is brand new to me. YouTube channel, generating content, showing up consistently. I'm only able to do it because I'm on ADHD meds, which I started about 4 months ago, after not being officially diagnosed for my whole life. Yeah, and that's, I don't know. I guess it's all relative. I was going to say it's a really, really long time. Yeah, it is a long time because I'm 48, turning 49 this year. That's a long time to go undiagnosed for a neurological condition that affects every aspect of every day for me. But yeah, now I can show up. I'm on meds, which enable me to show up in this way and to share in the way that I've always wanted to share. So yeah, I will see you again. Oh, if you got any value from this, please do like, subscribe, and share.